Welcome back to the Vanessa G Fitcast. I'm Vanessa Pozos, and here with me, as always, is Omar Pozos, my co-host and husband. What are you feeling the fall vibes, Omar?
Describe the fall vibes, because it's currently 84 degrees here in Florida. So what do you mean the fall vibes?
I don't know. Fall vibes. It's end of September, getting into October. Like, you got to feel it, right?
Not quite yet, but we're getting there. We put out a little Christmas decoration, or a Halloween decoration yesterday. We're doing a pumpkin patch, next week, the week after? So I feel like to me, I'm like, when we start doing festivities, that's when I get into the fall spirit.
That is true.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How about you? Are you in it yet?
Yeah. I mean, I got some decorations out. Like, I'm feeling it. But yeah,
spooky
that was my attempt
season?
at a different question from how are you? Because in the moment, I'm like, oh, you don't like it when I ask how are you? What I
know. Well, it just puts me on the spot, babe. And I'm like, I'm doing good. I'm doing well. And it's just the same thing. So I'm
we need to pull up the feelings wheel.
Yeah, I'm like, change it up on me a little bit. But no, I'm doing good.
Well, I know things have been busy for us. Lots of good things happening. We have added a couple of really incredible team members to Vital Spark. Just keep growing our team and just keep doing amazing things. And it makes me very proud, very excited, but definitely keeps us busy. And so that aligns well with kind of what we're talking about today. I recently on my Instagram stories talked about a day where I was just like, man, I feel like I am just running full speed ahead. And so typically, just to give you guys a little bit of insight, I try to structure my schedule these days. I'm always adjusting it, trying to figure out what works depending on how things are flowing at different points in time. But right now, I try to make Tuesdays and Wednesdays my like marathon/sprint days, so that then Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays, I can be a little bit more deep work, a little bit more creative, a little bit more go, I guess, at a slower speed in a way of allowing my brain to go deep into things rather than going from like task to task to task, from meeting to meeting. So that said, Tuesday and Wednesday is a little bit of a, I would say it's like sprinting a marathon from Tuesday morning until end of day Wednesday. And so the other week I had wrapped up my last call on Tuesday at, I think it was like 6:45. Still had lots of different like projects and things I needed to tie up for the day. So I ended up finishing work around like 9 p.m. And then my first call of the day was the next morning at 7:30 a.m. And so, got up, started work at about 6 to kind of get some things ready and prepared before going into a marathon of calls that day. And I was just thinking about it as I got a little bit later into Wednesday morning. Had finally a little bit of a break in my schedule. And I was thinking back and I'm like, man, these are the kinds of days where not too long ago, really just a few years ago, would have absolutely had my body take a serious toll from this. I would have just completely spiraled into stress, spiraled into resentment, into blaming my work, blaming, the demands of my life on why I don't feel good, why I'm stuck, why I can't ever lose weight, why I'm just always tired, always run down, just never happy, like all of the things, right? At the end of the day, I was really keeping myself stuck in truly, honestly, a victim mentality because I was, I even think back to maybe some like the earlier podcast episodes when I first really was kind of working myself through and out of some hormone imbalances and really getting out of some serious adrenal fatigue. And I would say things like, my work was just so stressful and like work is always so stressful. And that's a big reason why I ended up with these issues. But the reality is it wasn't because of work. It was not because of the demands of my life or anything like that. It was really because of my thoughts around those things, my systems around those days, my ability to actually take care of my physical state. And it was really just about me falling victim to that when I would be in days like my current kind of Tuesday, Wednesday schedule, I would just be like, oh my gosh, I can't do it.
Woe is me kind of thing.
Yeah, total woe is me. And I was keeping myself stuck. So I share that to like, if anybody feels like they are maybe there now, or they just resonate with that by any means, like you're not alone. I have gotten to a place now where, of course, I still struggle with these things. I'm still human. I'm not like perfect by any means with navigating, managing stress, managing my nervous system. But I have truthfully found that my ability to manage my nervous system despite whatever is happening around me in life, despite how hectic things are, despite how busy things are, despite the demands of my schedule, what's being asked of me, what I'm saying yes to, no matter what is going on outside of me, I can manage my nervous system pretty steady nowadays. And that has been the absolute difference maker for why I've been able to not just stay lean, like that's of course one aspect of things, but also continue to feel good, have good energy, really just continue to keep my health in a good place has come down to that. So never came natural. I had to really work on this and develop systems that worked for me. And so I want to share one of those systems that has worked for me over the years and I will continuously come back to.
Yeah, and I also want to add, I actually literally just got this message yesterday from a consultation call that I had a few months prior. To your point, this is somebody that was, very stressed, planning a wedding. She's got a lot going on, and she's like, my body's just taking a toll. There's like histamine reactions. There's autoimmune stuff that's going on. And she was asking, she's like, how do I lower inflammation? How do I get my body out of this fight or flight? And so I'm so excited for you to share some of these strategies, because I think overall at times, and correct me if I'm wrong, that overall systemic level of inflammation, a lot of it comes from you knowing how to manage your nervous system, how to managing stress, and how to continue to work on yourself despite whatever kind of life throws at you, right? So I'm excited to kind of dive into this and learn a little bit too.
Yeah, histamines especially are nervous system driven.
I know you said you guys were just chatting about this, right?
Yeah, it was a big thing we were diving into on our client success call yesterday with our whole coaches and talking through some different things. And really, it's a big problem for a lot of women, and they want what's the quick fix. What supplement can I take? What protocol do I need to do? And it's like first and foremost, the foundation is managing your nervous system. And so you can be following the perfect protocol. You can be dialing in your nutrition. You can be doing things really well, but if you're not first and foremost managing your nervous system, you're not going to see progress, unfortunately. So this is the foundation. This is the most important thing we could talk about, in my opinion. So a little bit of like a framework for how I like to think about managing my nervous system nowadays is I break it into 3 buckets. And those 3 buckets are state, story, and strategy. Nice alliteration there with the 3 S's as well. Helps you remember that, right? But state is coming back to our physical state. So that's the first thing, is how can I support my physical body at this point in time? So the physical state, that's the foundation of how we feel in a lot of ways. And especially when we talk about our nervous system, our body being stuck in this fight or flight, really sympathetic dominant, just like really driven nervous system state. No mindset trick is going to help us do that. We have to really approach our body on a physical level in a lot of ways. So back then, like the example I gave where I just would have been feeling like a total victim to my circumstances and to stressful days. And I would just be like complaining all the time of, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed and my work is so stressful. And, kind of
my husband is so perfect. How do I become more like him?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. You nailed it. Back then, I also, during times of things being really stressful, I wasn't taking the best care of my body, truthfully. I would cut corners in a lot of areas. I would find myself just sitting at my desk for hours at a time, like not getting outside, not getting any sunlight in my eyes. I would start work super early and end work really late and, barely step outside for a breath of fresh air. I was often skipping meals, or if I was eating meals, it was like eating them really fast at my desk, maybe on the go in the car. I wasn't giving my body any type of movement, like no gentle movement, no kind of stretching, like really just sitting in this fixed position at my desk for long periods of time. And that is not good for our bodies. We need to, when we have this increased nervous system state, with this sympathetic state, we have to think about, sympathetic is all about being prepared to literally run or fight a predator, essentially. So when you are stressed out, when you're in this place, your body is actually literally releasing energy, releasing stored energy, releasing glucose into the bloodstream to prepare you to fight the bear that's coming after your life, or, run for your life, right? But yet here we are instead sitting at a desk, staring at a computer, or maybe for some people it's,
running around, picking up kids. Or
it's like it's moving, but like not really good
stuff.
moving. It's like picking up a kid with really bad posture and just like really hunched over, and like we're not actually moving in a healthy, good way for the body, right? And so what happens is our body ends up in a worse place, because especially if we go down the functional health path of this, think about all that glucose being released in the bloodstream, yet it's not really being used appropriately. Now we end up with these big swings. We end up with insulin resistance. A lot of cascade of issues can come from this. So some things I've really started to focus on when it comes to the state bucket, the physical state, is I really think about kind of having at least a minimum effective dose for these really hyper busy times. And I really lately have even been trying to rephrase language, because I think language is super powerful. Not saying as much that I am busy, or, you know, like when people will ask you like, how are you? And it's just like, oh, I'm busy. It's like, I'm really trying to catch myself on that, because I just don't even want to like perpetuate that narrative of like all of us just like always talking about how busy we are. So it's like, I will say the truth of like, I have a lot on my schedule, or I'll say like my life is really full right now, which gives a little bit more of like a positive kind of connotation to it of like, that's great. Our life is full. Like, what a beautiful thing, right? So a little bit of a side note there, but I think it's important to also consider language. So during times where I feel like life is very full, I feel like my schedule has a lot on it, I will also make sure that I'm focusing on supporting my physical body. So for example, that Tuesday or Wednesday that I referenced, where I was working a long day Tuesday directly into a long day Wednesday, I still did my bare minimum effective dose. And what that looked like for me specifically on those days was when I had those later afternoon, evening calls, I made sure I put on my blue light blocking glasses. Not my like crazy orange tinted ones where I kind of look a little bit crazy. I'm not going to like be that, I'm not quite that functional.
What's wrong
yet.
with those glasses? I like those glasses.
Wearing those on a call though.
Oh, on a call. I didn't know you were on a call. Okay, all right. Well,
yeah.
I think you could look stylish.
No, I have my clear-ish blue light blocking glasses that I'll wear at my computer when I have calls in the late afternoon, in the evening, because it does help with a little bit of restricting some of that blue light, so that at least my body can still have some of the physical processes of preparing itself.
I feel like I need a pair of those, the yellow ones. Do I have a pair of those?
Yeah, you do. I think you lost them.
Oh, well, maybe I need to find them.
I know I got you a pair at one point.
All right.
So I'll make sure I do that. And then it's like towards once I'm actually done with taking calls, I'll switch to my orange tinted blue light blocking glasses, the ones that look a little bit crazier. I'll switch to those ones and make sure I have those all the way up until I actually go to sleep. So like literally until I'm like ready to lay down my head on my pillow and close my eyes, I will have on those orange tinted glasses. And I really do think it makes a big difference, really helps protect melatonin production, and really does help with better quality sleep, which is a huge part of physical state. Some other things I'll do is, so on that Tuesday specifically, despite having back-to-back calls, wrapping up my last call at 6:45, knowing I still had a packed to-do list that I needed to wrap up before, calling it for the evening, I still took 20 minutes to actually sit outside with my food and eat my meal before the sun went down, because I had not been able to get much sun in my eyes. I had not really been able to get outside much at all. I had not had time for an outdoor walk, but I knew I needed to eat a meal, and my choices in that moment were to eat at my desk in a hurry where I'll be distracted, I'll eat faster, I won't be able to digest that food as well, or I could sit outside, allow myself to focus on my food for 20 minutes, like 20 minutes realistically, I can squeeze that in, I can make it happen, and get some sun in my eyes to help ultimately with better quality sleep, because that's important as well for sleep. And then another thing I did was I drank some chamomile tea before I went to sleep. So it's like a tiny little thing. Doesn't actually take extra time, doesn't actually take extra effort, but it does make a difference for better quality sleep. So I can have that period of time between shutdown on Tuesday, starting work on Wednesday, make sure I'm making the most of that to maximize my physical state with better quality sleep. And then that Wednesday, I made sure in the morning when I had some internal calls that I walked to my walking pad, because I knew steps are not going as well as I would like them to right now. Movement is not going well. There's no time for a workout. It's hard to cram that in, but walking pads are making movement more accessible for those who have desk jobs, or at least those who work from home with desk jobs. So if that's you, no reason not to have a walking pad. It makes it so much easier.
Can I ask really quick, for somebody that's probably listening and they're like, Vanessa, but like, I'm the person that, if I can't eat my 3 meals and I can't do my hour-long workout, like I might as well not do it, like that all or nothing mentality, what would you say to that person?
Yeah, well, it's really like this is the perfect conversation for somebody who has the all or nothing mentality, because this is about when you feel like you're in the nothing category because you can't give the all. It's what is the something we can give. So rather than it being all or nothing, let's do all or something. What is the something? And that was for me. That was what my something looked like, was walking on a walking pad, drinking some chamomile tea to wind down at night, putting on some blue light blocking glasses, pausing for a dinner to try and eat like a little bit slower. Those little things, in the grand scheme of my normal lifestyle habits of health and fitness, those are feel insignificant, but they're so much better than me just saying, oh, I can't do anything, and setting myself up for poor quality sleep and not allowing myself to get through the next day, right? So it's like, even if you work a 9-to-5 job in an office or something along those lines, and you're like, I can't use a walking pad at my desk, Vanessa, like, that's great for you, but I can't do that. It still might be something worth you having. Of like, I have had moms who will get a walking pad and they'll set their walking pad up next to a table and fold laundry while walking on the walking pad. Like,
We've done that, watched TV so many times, yeah.
It's 100% something that you can make use of no matter your situation. So I think it really totally is a game changer on those things. So it's not about being perfect. It's really about how can I support my body the best I can given the circumstances I am in. It can be really simple. Like, does not have to be fancy.
What is it? Keep it simple, stupid. The kiss analogy.
I think we've talked about this before. It's keep it simple, sweetheart.
Oh, okay.
We don't want to call people stupid.
Keep it simple, sweetheart.
Yeah, we're a lot more loving around here. The second part of this, the second bucket, so we talked about state. Now let's talk about story. So we talked about our physical state, but it's really important to also think about what is the perspective we are taking on our situation? What is the lens we are choosing to look at our situation in? What is the story we are telling ourselves about what is happening in our lives? This is so important because our nervous system is not just responding to our environment and, like physically what we're doing, like we talk about our physical state, it's also responding to how we perceive our environment. So even how we talked about in state, where some people might be like, I'm not doing enough, that's not enough. You could stress yourself out further with that perspective on what you're doing and how much you're doing and how you are doing with your physical health and your physical state. And in the past, I very much chose a perspective, a story of blaming my circumstances, blaming others, blaming my work, blaming the world, blaming everybody else for my problems, right? And I was only reinforcing this sense of powerlessness. And I found one of the biggest things, and I know we talk about this often on the podcast, mindset is so important. But I spent a lot of money working with mindset coaches to develop these skills of really controlling our perspective and the story and the thoughts we tell ourselves. And so I realized I was choosing this schedule. I was building a business. I am still building a business. And so I am choosing to take on this lifestyle. And that's a choice for me. Owning my choices really does help shift my nervous system into a better place. I talked about, when I was talking about this on Instagram, sometimes it's really helpful for me personally to zoom out if I find myself kind of falling into this like victim mindset of like, oh my gosh, my circumstances are just like really, it's, that's why I feel this way. And like, I just am not going to be able to feel not stressed until my circumstances change. I will challenge that by going back to a book I read. Actually, this was back in college. I read this, and hands down to this day has been one of the most transformative books I ever read. And that was Viktor Frankl's book. Of course, here I'm saying it's like the most transformative book I've ever read, and I can't think of the name of it.
I'll look it up for you.
This is what happens when you read it like over a decade ago.
Is it The Will to Meaning?
No, Man's Search for Meaning.
Man's Search for
Man's
Meaning.
Search for Meaning, yes. 10 out of 10 recommend, and it's super deep, a little heavy, but so powerful. It's about, so if you don't know who Viktor Frankl is, he was a psychologist who actually went through the Holocaust, and he lost his entire family in the Holocaust, but he survived, and he got out to the other side, and he ended up actually making meaning out of it, of being able to help others through trauma and through things like that. But this whole book, he walks through the story of going through the Holocaust, and he talks about how he managed his mind through it and how he was like finding meaning in it and how he was managing to stay, positive and optimistic. Like that was the most transformative thing for me, because if I find myself going down this path of just negativity, pessimism, feeling like a victim to my circumstances, I will actually remind myself, if Viktor Frankl could remain optimistic going through the Holocaust, losing his entire family, I can survive a more stressful day at work, and I can maintain an optimistic perspective on things like that. So sometimes for me, this may not work for everybody, but personally, if I have to really pull myself out of things, I will like go to that level of extreme of reminding myself that something like that.
And I know we talk about this on our team too, but like, you know, a lot of it is to your reticular activating system. It's like what you focus on, you create more of kind of thing. And if we approach things with that optimistic mindset, it's like, okay, well, it's just a tough day. It's an opportunity for me to get better. It's a tough schedule. Well, I'm building something impactful or something along those lines, which the next day you wake up with hope and or excitement, as opposed to, I don't know, hatred or despair to whatever situation you've got going on too.
Yeah. And it's like, I still have to do this work every day, all the time. So do, you know, our incredible coaches on the team, and like, we'll support each other with this. I was talking about this with a coach yesterday, who was sharing with me that she was feeling really anxious and was having trouble kind of working herself through it. And we worked through her thoughts a little bit together and dove into that and helped her kind of reframe and shift her thinking. Like, you guys, this is the work that's so powerful. It is a little bit hard to do it alone. So make sure you have people in your life who you can talk to about this. Like, hey, I'm feeling this way. I keep running through these thoughts. Slow down and actually talk it through with somebody, journal about it, get it out of your head, and really sit and think, how can I shift my perspective? What is another story I can tell about this situation that is more empowering and gives me my power back here? The third bucket that I want to talk about, so we talked about state, we talked about story. Now I want to finish with strategy. Really, this comes down to the systems that we are using in our day-to-day life, because we could, you know, again, have really great physical state habits. Like maybe we talk about the physical state and you're like, I'm good at that. Even during stressful times, I still manage to, you know, get my movement in. Like I still make sure I feed myself healthy foods. Like that's not a problem for me. I'm good with that. Check. Maybe we talk about the state part of it, the mindset, and you're like, I am so zen. I am so good at managing my mind. Like that is not an issue for me. But you might still get hung up over strategy because you may not have structure in your life. You may not have a good system for actually planning things out to make sure you are actually doing what needs to be done, that if it doesn't get done, you're going to end up with stressors regardless. Like you can manage your mind around those stressors and you can manage your physical state around those stressors. But if you just keep creating more stress in your life because you're just not doing what you need to do, you're not organizing your time effectively, you're not delegating effectively, you're not just truly managing yourself effectively, you're going to end up getting stuck. And I definitely, in early business days for sure, did not have very good systems on how to organize my time. And so I had to really learn this like through desperation essentially. And it's something that I would say I've gotten pretty good at nowadays, where I'm pretty effective with time management, with managing myself and managing my systems and strategies. You know, part of that is just having tighter boundaries around when I'm actually working versus not leading these loops just open in my brain to continue to run at all hours of the day. I also really try not to get caught up in the urgency loop, which when you're running a business, and I think this could relate to people in kind of all domains of, maybe as a mom, you feel this way too, but like when things pop up and it just feels so urgent, like I have to do it right now, being honest with myself of like, does this actually need to happen right now? Or can I schedule this for a future time? It's like, is this something that I can do during a time that is more appropriate for me to be doing that thing, so I can still be focused in what I need to do right now and get done, you know, what needs to get done in the long run.
You said the other day, you said it's a trash can fire versus a sink fire. Is that right?
Kitchen fire.
Kitchen fire.
Yeah.
What's the difference there?
Running a business, you will find that like there's fires all the time, because that's what it is to run a business. Any entrepreneur is like nodding their head emphatically, like, yes, that feels correct. But a big thing is being able to differentiate trash can fires from kitchen fires. So it's like they'll feel all the time like there's just fires. There's like things you want to improve, you want to fix, you want to make better. That's the reality. It's all the time. There's always problems. That's life. The reality is, though, not all of those problems are actually so important or urgent that you need to shift energy and focus and time to putting that fire out right now, because you only have so much energy and time. That is a finite resource. You only have so much to give. Even, no matter how big your team is, your team still has only so much to give. And the bigger the team, the more fires there are too.
Or families too, for the moms or...
Yeah, so many parallels between running a business and running a household, running a family. But with anything, it's like there will be things that feel like, oh my gosh, I need to fix this. I need to, like this problem is, really big. You have to be honest with yourself of like, is this something where trash can fire, I let it burn for a little bit, and it's like I'm gonna be aware of the fact that there's a fire burn in there. But like if it's just in the trash can, it's kind of controlled. It's not gonna take down the whole house. It's fine. But if it's a kitchen fire, there's a fire breaking out in the whole kitchen, your whole house is gonna be coming down if you don't put out that fire. So you need to be able to differentiate the two and put your energy and time and focus into the kitchen fires, not the trash can fires. Wait for, trash can fires sometimes will just stay trash can fires. Sometimes they go out on their own. If it turns into a kitchen fire, now okay, now I need to focus on this.
Can't wait to use that with my team on tomorrow. I'm like, yeah, you guys, so we really have to differentiate the two fires here that we're putting out.
Like I had a really great insight.
Make me sound smart, exactly.
And I really, like, there's a lot of systems I'll use personally. I've talked about some on the podcast before, as far as like the big 3 method. Like I always identify what are my 3 most important things that need to happen that week. So it's like, if nothing else gets done, if I can try to just get those 3 done, I can say, okay, it was a successful week no matter what happened. And I also do that daily of what is the 3 things that need to happen today. Those can be personal or professional, but just like having focuses for the day. Batching tasks is really important. Delegating, like there's so many things we can talk about here. One tip that came up for me recently, I got this from one of our coaches, Krista, is Motion.AI. I just downloaded it and started to set it up recently, but it's pretty cool. Especially I think for like moms out there, really, really helpful because you can input all the different tasks, all the different things you need to do, and it'll essentially sync with your calendar and find time for you to do those things. So it's kind of like a AI scheduling assistant in a way. But really just figuring out what kind of plan can I have in place so that my nervous system can know, hey, like you're good, you're supported, even though yes, there's a lot of things that need to happen, there's a plan for those things to get done. And so if that's where you feel like I have so many things I need to get done, there's so much going on, take a pause and create a actual strategy for how you're going to go about achieving those things over time. And that will give you peace. It'll give you a little bit of a more restful nervous system state. I do want to give like a quick example because I know I used a lot of examples to my life specifically, but I want for maybe somebody, if you are, let's say a mom with young kids, maybe you work a full-time job and you're like, Vanessa, your tips are great. They don't apply to me. They're not helpful for me in my current system and state. So what does a state story strategy kind of approach to regulating your nervous system look like in that situation? The state, the physical, it could look like, instead of kind of skipping meals and just like scarfing down bites of your toddler's leftovers and trying to just, get in little bits of food when you can, but basically just surviving on coffee most of the time. Instead, it could look like, can you take a few minutes to pack a really simple lunch that you can grab and eat, even if you're going to be on the go during the day? So it's like maybe the night before when you're fixing dinner for the whole family, you go ahead and just like make a quick turkey wrap, throw some fruit in a plastic baggie, you just stick it in the fridge and so it's ready to go. So that even if it's like, oh crap, I need to quickly run to this appointment, or, I'm going to work now, but like I'm running over here, you can grab that and eat it on the go in the car if need to, but just make sure you have food readily available. Taking care of your physical state could look like taking a quick 5-minute pause in the car before, pickup with the kids at school or daycare, like actually taking that pause to breathe. Close your eyes, take some deep breaths. Maybe you listen to a calming song. Maybe you stand outside your car and like get some sun in your eyes because you realize that you're always running between a car and inside, and you're never actually just standing outside getting sun in your eyes, setting your nervous system and your circadian rhythm. Maybe it's just like literally taking an intentional pause to have a shift between work mode and mom mode. That alone can be helpful for your nervous system to know which state am I operating from, because your nervous system is going to feel a little bit different between momming and working, right? This could look like doing a quick stretch or getting in some movement while you make a meal for your kids. Like that can be a simple thing of like food's heating up, pop out a couple air squats. Maybe while you're cutting things, like you're just pulling up, your arms.
I think they
and
should
legs
do air squats while they're picking up the kids on the car line, and they just get out of their car and just do squats. You
That would
imagine?
be a
People would be
sight
like,
to
what
see.
is wrong with that person?
But like, this is the kind of stuff where people will be like, but doing a couple shoulder rolls while I make my kids food doesn't make a difference. Like, how is that going to help me lose weight? Everything's like, this is the kind of stuff that actually helps relax your nervous system. Think of how much tension you might be carrying in your head and neck. Maybe you didn't even notice it until now, but your jaw is tight. Your shoulders are like up to your ears.
I'm doing some shoulder rolls while we're talking.
And just think of like, if you're making food and you start to pair habits together of like, okay, when I go to start making dinner, rather than like running really fast between things and like your shoulders getting tighter and more tense, I'm going to remind myself, okay, as I pull out the cutting board and I start chopping this, let me do a couple shoulder rolls, take a couple deep breaths. That tiny little thing actually makes a difference to your nervous system. And add up these tiny nervous system habits over the course of your day. A calmer nervous system is absolutely going to transform your health. And so if you have a goal of weight loss, this might be the first step you actually need to be taking. Doesn't have to be long, perfect physical state type of practices, just little things like that, right? On the story side of things, maybe when we're looking at like your mental lens to your kind of stressful situation, you might be naturally just having these thoughts come up like, my kids just make it really hard to take care of myself. You might be thinking, my job is so demanding, I'll never get where I want to be. Like, these are natural, normal thoughts to have. There's nothing wrong with you if you're having these thoughts, but we need to catch them. We need to be aware of them. We need to actively reframe these thoughts when they come up. There's nothing wrong with the thoughts coming up, but you can choose your next thought. And that's where your ability to change your state comes in, change your nervous system state. So maybe you shift my kids make it impossible to take care of myself into a thought of, I choose to show up for my kids and my job, and I can also choose small ways to care for my body in the middle of it. Maybe it's just something simple like, I'm stretched, but I'm resourceful. Maybe it's even like that shift I mentioned earlier of not saying I'm busy, but my life is really full right now. And like, maybe that makes you smile a little bit more and think of like, man, this is a time period that I won't have back. Like, kids grow up fast, and there's gonna be a certain point where I look back and life is a little bit slower, and I miss the really busy times chasing around my kids and building my career and doing all the things at once. Like, enjoy the season you're in because it's serving you in some way, even if it's stretching you, right? So we have to make sure we are owning our choices, of course, within the life we have, as well as the beauty of our current season and our circumstances, and actively focusing our attention on that, and notice how that shifts how your body feels. It really does make a difference. The last part of this being strategy. So, like without a strategy, like the overwhelm in the life of a mom who's also working, or really even, a full-time mom, like whatever that looks like, I think just moms in general are superheroes. And the life of a mom, if you don't have strategy to it, you're probably experiencing that like intense feelings of overwhelm. What is it? Like, laundry is going to definitely pile up. Probably feel like healthy food is never available, never an option, always scrounging for meals. Bedtime is non-existent. It's like go to bed at super late hours and never getting enough sleep. Like, there's a lot of these things that happen, right? And of course, during certain seasons, like newborns, yes, this is definitely going to be a more intense season for it. But in every season, there are things you could probably implement that might help as far as having a strategy to lessen the burden of that overwhelm at this period of time. That could be like on Sundays, you do a family reset, maybe get the whole family in, get your spouse, your kids involved, can plan out meals, like what meals we're going to have. We can plan out when we're going to do grocery shopping, or maybe we're laying out outfits for the week, things like that. You could look at, what boundaries you could set with your work, if that's a possibility for you. I think about some of our coaches and some of the things that they do with their families. A lot of our coaches have young kids or have kids across different ages, and they're obviously working full-time jobs as coaches. Many of them have kids at home as well. And they have become masters of how to manage this. Like, I've learned so much of what I share with you guys on the mom side from them, because they're such a great resource for me. And like, I think of, I was talking with Coach Lindsay the other day. She was sharing with me something really cool that she does with her family. So they have, I think it's called like a hearth display calendar. But it's basically like a giant display screen that they have on the wall, and they kind of have built in, if I understand correctly, it's like each kid has their own routine of like what they need to do and it's like built into this display screen. So essentially her kids, which are, varying across like middle school, high school type of ages, they'll get home from school, and while she's still working, rather than them coming to her and be like, what do I do? And like her getting, flustered because she's still working and trying to navigate different things, they can go to the screen. I think they like tap their little picture and it comes up with what their tasks are that they need to complete.
That's really cool.
And they complete the task and it earns them points that then they can like earn things from. So it's like you collect a certain amount of points and you can get like an experience. Like you could, get like a mommy-daughter ice cream date, or you can get, I think, like a toy that you want or things like that too. So there's like rewards naturally built in, but it helps create structure for the kids. And I think she said that she even also uses it for her own personal structure, so that she has her routines that she wants to follow, and right alongside them, she needs the accountability too, and it helps her follow through with that. So I thought that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
But this could even be like structuring in certain systems within your family. I know Coach Krista had shared, I believe it's, she taught her kids when they were really little, because they're all more like high school, middle school age now, but when they were really little, she had taught them how if they need her for something, they have to, I think, put their hand on her shoulder and wait for her to then kind of like initiate, rather than just be like, mom, like I need you, and like driving her crazy. And she said they still do that to this day, where it's like she's, picking up her daughter from soccer practice and she's in a conversation with another teammate's mom, and the daughter will come up, and if she like needs her, she just puts her hand on her shoulder and like lets Krista finish her conversation before she turns to her. And she's like, it's those little things that you can create that system within your family of like, hey, this is how we operate, and just like let me reinforce that, and obviously praise when they're doing things well, and just let that be the way that your family operates.
I think it also, it sets a little bit of boundaries, because you're still a person at the end of the day. And it's like you're teaching your family how to give you a little bit of your own space, your own time, while protecting your own mental sanity too.
Yeah. But it's like little things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is a huge nervous system release. So we talk about strategy. Of course, there's like the scheduling aspect of like I brought in, but a lot of this might just be what strategies, what systems do you bring into your life, your family, the certain kind of demands of your life, and get creative with it. So I hope that this is helpful. I know that like these things, state, story, strategy, like it doesn't erase the challenges of life. It doesn't make life automatically easier. But what it does is it does make you more equipped to handle those challenges in life and have a little bit more of a balanced nervous system with that. So remember, making sure you have that physical foundation with your physical state, making sure you're looking at how you're approaching your perspective with your story, and really thinking about the structure that makes nervous system regulation a little bit more sustainable and real in your life through strategy. Those three things are, in my opinion, three things that are just absolute game changers to focus on if you want to regulate your nervous system. And regulating your nervous system is the absolute most important thing if we want to start healing your body. Healing cannot happen without it.
Yeah. And here's a bit of a challenge. You guys want a little bit of strategy? Do some of these things, tag Vanessa, hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
And I think that'll help give you just that little bit of boost to be like, okay, I can do this. So yeah, use that feature, because that way, one, we know that people are actually listening and they are enjoying the podcast, but then also too, it gives you that little bit of like oomph that you need to get started.
Yeah, little secret for you. The most easiest, or like the quickest way for me to see your message is if you tag me in a story. Like that's the easiest, quickest way, because it stands out a bunch of everything else. I try my best to get to all other messages as well. I pride myself on being fairly responsive, but I get a lot of messages. And so if you tag me in an Instagram story, that can help us start a conversation if you do want a little bit of support with something too. But I hope this was helpful. If it was, maybe send it to a friend who it might be helpful for as well. Really help get this information out to other people. That'll also help us grow as a podcast that we can help more women. Thank you guys so much for listening. We'll be back next week.
Bye, everybody.